Hey everyone, for this latest episode of Innovation Insights, I'm here today at Schroders to interview Charlotte Wood, their Head of Innovation and FinTech Alliances. I think that everyone watching is probably wondering what innovation means to Schroders, and I'm actually wondering what it means to you on a personal level to you, Charlotte.
Schroders has always been an innovative company because it's been around for 250 years. It's changed from being a merchant bank to a private bank, and now we're an asset manager. I think there's been a lot of evolution in that time. I think what's now different is the pace of technological change and also the pace of changing demographics and expectations in our clients. So for me, in working at Schroders in the last 2 years, I think we've learnt a lot about innovation, both from an internal corporate perspective and also how we can best draw on ideas and technology solutions from the market. So I think corporate innovation is really, really important. We need to take advantage of the great ideas within our teams and the expertise that we have across the business. However, there are a lot of challenges involved. We find that the ideas that people have can tend to be relatively incremental because it's very much focused on their job and what they're used to doing within that, which is great, and we can take advantage of those. But for something that's really going to change the way that things are done, or potentially even open up new business models, we're often finding that we look for inspiration outside of Schroders' walls.
So this 250-year evolution sounds like you've always had this mandate from your leadership to be innovative. That clearly is still the case today, but I'd love you to just share with us and the viewers on how exactly they support it. There might be ways that our viewers can take some of these lessons and think about how they apply it in their organisations.
So I totally agree that senior leadership is absolutely crucial. We've been very lucky in that our CEO is very vocal, both in the press and also internally, when he's talking about our need to look to do things differently and constantly improve and innovate. Because that filters down then to his senior leadership, and they're the people who we need strategically to tell us where the problem areas are, where priorities are, and what the opportunities we have to really change the way that Schroders works. Obviously, I think some business areas when we arrived were already much more on board than others. For example, cybersecurity. That's an area that is moving so quickly that they were really aware that to be defending yourself properly, you need to be working with the most cutting edge startups. Whereas there are other areas of the business where perhaps it hasn't been so fast moving in the past. So there's more of an effort to persuade them that it's actually valuable to look externally.
So as we've got to know each other, Charlotte, one of the things that's really impressed me is your ability to recognise how technology can harness the collective brain power of an organisation to broadcast out problem statements to those ecosystems to get back radical, new, disruptive ways to solve those problems, and of course incremental ways. Can you talk to us a little bit about why you adopted technology and how it's working for you?
Yeah, so we really recognise that there's a lot of expertise and great ideas amongst the organisation, but it's hard for people to always know where to take an idea they have. Sometimes they'll take it to their line manager, but then their line manager won't always know what to do with it.
So like forming in silos almost.
Yeah, exactly. So we wanted to have a centralised platform where people could suggest ideas, either that they have just as an ongoing basis as part of their role, but also in response to specific business challenges that our leadership can set. So we have this platform which employees can use to post ideas, comment on ideas, and vote if we want them to vote on them as well, which just gives us a really transparent view of what people are thinking within the company. And it's also really great actually for us providing feedback on the ideas as well. Brilliant. Because it means that everyone can see what happens with them, why they're taken forward or not taken forward. So it encourages people to continue to participate.
Now, I understand that you run an annual innovation challenge, which essentially is a hackathon. Is that right?
Yeah. So we didn't call it a hackathon because we don't want to scare people off with the tech savvy name.
Love that. So it's open to all.
Yeah, exactly. It's more about business ideas. But we open it up to the entire organisation to come forward with ideas. We keep it relatively open-ended, although we do set some objectives around it. And then we shortlist those ideas down to the finalists, and the finalists then get put into teams and work on their ideas intensively for a couple of days before pitching what they've come up with to some of our senior leadership.
So the exciting thing about hackathons is always what comes out of them, and I know that you are in a fortunate position of actually having something that's now live and being used by the business. Can you tell us a little bit about what that idea was, who it came from, how you built it?
Yes, so probably my favourite hackathon idea that's actually been successful has been, it's now called Schroders Go. It was an idea suggested by a team out in Asia, in Singapore, and it is a chatbot for our distributors to use. It sits on Facebook Messenger, and they can ask it any questions about funds, so Schroders funds, but also other funds, including our competitors' funds, and it will go and find the information, pull it out of sources like Morningstar, and give that back to them in a conversational experience.
Now, when I first met you, Charlotte, we ourselves were on a programme called Momentum, and they'd invited you to come and speak on open innovation, and your talk was excellent. It was fascinating. Can you talk to me about what open innovation is to you and why it's so important?
So when I talk about open innovation, I really mean our collaboration with startups. I think it's really important because there are so many startups coming into existence all the time, either focused on a really interesting technology question, or often they come out of industry knowing the problem that they need to solve and have built something entirely around that. I think at Schroders we have a lot of great people internally, and we can build a lot of these solutions ourselves, but whether we should or not is a completely different question. I think also all of these startups coming into existence are often exploring new business models and testing out new customer segments, new ways of working, new markets. And we can learn a lot from that, either just from observing them and helping that to inform our strategy, or collaborating with them and actually learning something from a partnership.
So cool, completely agree with you. And your programme, Koval, putting this practice into a reality. Can you talk to me about some of the startups that have been a part of Koval so far?
Yeah, so Koval is our early stage startup programme to give them whatever they need. So it might be some product feedback to add some features to their product that we need to have in place. It could also be mentorship from different parts of Schroders, for example, legal, if they don't have a legal framework in place, or procurement to work out their pricing strategy. So we just try to get them there as fast as we can so that we can see the benefit of working with them. And we learn a lot from them on the way as well. In terms of companies that have been on the programme, our first alumni, a company called Quill Messenger, who have a secure chat application. It's kind of like WhatsApp for business. For example, if a wealth manager wants to interact with their client, we can't use WhatsApp for a number of reasons. The regulator would be very unhappy with us.
Sure.
But Quill gives the WhatsApp experience, so you can have those quick exchanges that in everyday life you might do via text or WhatsApp, while having something that's more secure than email, so they can send documents and have confidential conversations with the client. And we as Schroders have access to all of that information so that we can see it for audit purposes as well.
I want to thank you. I think you've been absolutely brilliant today, super informative. Thank you so much, Charlotte. Cheers.